right, guys, and we're back. King Listener Reviews. It's been a long week, I must say, man. Song dropped a couple days ago, several days ago. Chelsea Grin, Fathomless. Ma, it's been killing me. It has been killing me not being able to listen to this, and then with things going on at work, when I did have time, check out new stuff. I was not able to listen to it because I'm like, dude, I know this is gonna be a banger. My boy Tom Barber always brings that heat. Darko, Chelsea Grant, Excellent Ashore. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. So it's perfect to go into this week's episode to review what I'm just gonna say it now. I have high expectations and I expect them to be reached. I have nothing else to say other than that. I don't think that we're gonna have that same thing where I was like, yeah, I expected a lot, but I didn't get what I needed. Nah. 100%. I think I know what I'm gonna get. And it's been killing me. It's been so hard not to listen to this. I don't know about you. I know that we had to figure out how we were gonna edit this.
I know. I
We
was,
thought
I was trying to figure it out. So that's also what's been killing me is like hearing the first like 2 seconds because Mac, every
oh
time you
dude.
click a video, it'll play the first little bit of the audio. So I was trying to like work it out and everything. And it
Yep. And
was, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
always on metal TikTok. That's all I see. I'm
yeah.
seeing all these people reacting to it, but I couldn't watch it, but I wanted to so bad. I'm like, God, that should be me right now. But we had to wait. That's fine.
No,
Universe had other plans. Here we are. We're about to review Fathomless Maw by Chelsea Grin. I am so excited. I
yeah.
loved it. Like, what are you thinking? What are you
I mean,
expecting here?
I think it's going to be pretty great. Of like because as far as the Suffer in Hell goes, like if it leads into this, it's going to be real good. Like
Dude.
I am
Ugh.
excited
And
and
then
stuff.
they give us that double album, dude. It's gonna be
Yeah,
great. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I've been looking
yeah.
forward to this all week.
Because that's the main thing. Is a part of me was hoping of like that it'll have that ending of like what was it? Morning Hymn was really great, and then like the
I think it
scream
was.
at the end of Suffer in Heaven, Suffer in Hell. Like if
Oh
they
my
can manage
god,
that type of like,
that last
yeah,
12 seconds, that super high black metal scream. I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god. And then Crystal Casket. Crystal
ooh,
Casket had the same
so good.
thing. Where I was like, what the hell? And then just like his new stuff with Darko. It's almost like he saw what I would almost say what Will and all these other vocalists are doing right now. He's like, all right, hold up, hold my beer. Hold my
Yeah,
beer. Let me show you who's king. So I don't
it's
know if that's really what the
yeah.
dynamic is, but that's what I'm kind of catching the vibe of.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. I also don't know how to pronounce the song "The Isness" or whatever. Is that I'm
Yeah, the
assuming?
isness.
Yeah,
I think it's like it's an entity. I do believe of some.
yeah. I could.
Maybe I think it's an
Yeah,
Egyptian entity. Actually,
yeah.
I could be wrong. Somebody fact check me on that. But
I tried to fact check it. I couldn't because I was looking up pronunciations and I was like, I guess it's like isness, like business, but isness. Like I was like, that
that
one
was
was a
good
really
too.
great one. In general, for one, they were all really great. Some of them I wish they could have been a little bit longer, but it's kind of nice to have that like 2 minute chunk of just like fury.
Well, it's really interesting how, I can only list a couple times in history that I know of that there's been like a double album. We could go back to Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
Hmm.
You had, that set the tone for Use Your Illusion 1 and then straight after right into Use Your Illusion 2. And it was like a double album with, goodness, I think 12 songs each.
Yeah,
And I think we have 8 on Suffer in Hell, and I believe we have 9 or 8 as well on Suffer in Heaven. Could be wrong, but either way, it's a double album and it's cool and it's different. And I don't know.
yeah,
What I've heard from Suffer in Hell, I was like, okay, this is a different sound, but you still got that like different, interesting kind of dynamic with the instruments, the guitars, the drums, the pitch harmonics on the guitar, and Pablo, the drummer, with his backing vocals as well,
mhm,
was great on Eternal Nightmare and Hostage and Dead Rose, for example. Like it was a cool, different sound, but it's almost like when Suffer in Heaven, they released the two singles off of that. I was like, this sounds even more different than the one we just heard 2 months ago. So it's like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see the full
Yeah.
review of the album myself as well, and I know that we'll be touching on it eventually when it comes
Yeah.
out.
No,
This
because
year,
the artwork, like the whole thing, I've been staring at it because I did listen to Sing to the Grave and that got me pumped. And I was like,
it
this is going to
yeah,
be,
it sets the tone for something incredible to me, man.
which
It really does.
I guess without further ado, should we do it? After like literally hyping this up. And
Yeah,
it kept almost coming onto my playlist, so I actually had to dislike the song so it wouldn't pop up
dude, I
in
didn't. I
YouTube
didn't even
Music.
listen to it. I didn't even listen to it. I seen it on.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No,
I seen it with.
it popped up and I immediately disliked it, so I took it off and I was like, oh.
So I seen it on Facebook. Somebody shared it. Metal Injection, maybe. Don't know. Either way, I seen it. I didn't even have to listen to it. I'm like, Chelsea Grin, I'm gonna love this. I already know it. And then I did see a little bit of the highlight of the review, and it was like Tom really sets the tone with his scream. It's something you've never heard. I'm like, oh my god! So I added it to my phone. But I did not listen to it. I have it downloaded, but I've made sure every single time, if like I'm like, oh, I don't recognize this song, even though Tom's very specific, his vocals are very specific, as well as Chelsea Grin's dynamic on the instruments. I think I would have caught it, but I made it absolutely 100% sure that I did not accidentally listen to a single bit of it. So without further ado, we'll get into it.
Here it is.
Terror is not a new weapon. Throughout history, it has been used by those who could not prevail, but inevitably they fail. Either because men are not afraid to die,
Oh, those ghost notes.
worth living, or because those themselves came to realize that free men cannot be frightened by threats.
Oh! What is this? Ooh, a marshmallow. Okay. Interested to see where this goes. Oh, my heart rate. Dude, I got goosebumps. my god! What the fuck? Oh! That was fucking disgusting. That was absolutely disgusting. Holy fuck!
So good.
Oh my
Just
god!
like, oh,
Oh my
man.
god, dude! What the, dude? High low. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Did you know? Oh my god! I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was.
It
That reached my
was,
expectations.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. They brought the heat. Not surprised by that.
Yeah.
Dude, that
I,
was so good.
the video, like everything about it, of just like the themes of just like, oh, man. And
I'm
the ending, the
surprised.
air raid siren, the slow build of the air raid siren at the end, where you're like, oh, man.
I
And was it JFK? There was some, the speaker thing was, yeah.
I was just lost in the sauce of the vocals and the instruments. Like
Yeah.
dude, I noticed like three different like almost genres in one song. It was like a blackened death metal, and then slam for a little bit, and then like slow bully beat down shit hardcore, and then the vocals are just like, here, I'm gonna rip your soul out. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that what he did in the studio with Darko, the studio session 5, I think, or V, whatever that Roman numeral means.
Yeah.
Either
Studio
way,
Session 5 was, yeah.
either way, besides the point, his vocals in that, I was like, dude, this is like awesome. And like we just talked about before the video, we talked about Crystal Casket, Isthmus, and just the whole like it's different, but it's Tom,
Yeah.
you know?
Like that range of like hitting all ends of like,
It's so dynamically interesting. You know that that's his voice. You know, and like in my opinion, his high scream is my favorite.
yeah.
Seriously, it really is. It's so different. It's throaty, and like his like his deep. It's just it's not the normal guttural like sound, you know? It's just it's weird,
Yeah.
and it's so fucking cool. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm like 10 out of 10. Hands
It
down.
was crisp. It was, the whole spectrum of it was just phenomenal. And just like the recording quality of just like, you could hear everything of just the guitar, the breakdown.
The production was
Yeah.
phenomenal with
Yeah.
that.
Just amazing. But his voice, like you said, that high range, and there's a point where it sounds almost like his voice is about to crack, and it just transitions to a different note. Like, I don't know how to describe it, how he does it.
I almost like just want to
Listen to it
hear
again.
that part again where he does deep, high, deep, high. And then at the end, he has like, I think like a 15-second just belt. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, I've seen these guys May 2nd, Mr. Smalls in Pittsburgh.
Ooh, nice.
And we talked about it last week. They're on the top of my list of bands I need and must and will see. Headlining tour with Carnifex, Ove Sulfur, who actually just dropped a banger with Alex Terrible, Slaughter to Prevail, huge in the deathcore scene. That song's good. I seen them live. They bring the heat, so that's gonna be fun to see again. And then Left to Suffer with Taylor Barber, who is actually part of a deathcore group as well. It's been around for a little bit. Had a couple songs with CJ McCreary, ex Lorna Shore vocalist, a couple other guys, and on Tom's side project Darko, he was in a song called Anna. Guest vocalized on it, and it was good. You know, that's a band that's coming up, so I'm glad to see that they're going on tour with Chelsea. And I'm glad to see that it's a headlining tour. You know,
Yeah.
they're not opening for Carnifex or, the Suicide Silence. That's what I'm excited for. A whole set list of, some of their older stuff. I'm gonna get to finally see some of the Eternal Nightmare stuff live. Hostage, Dead Rose. I'm
Ooh.
hoping to God they play Across the Earth. You already know
I
they're gonna play Recreant.
Yeah,
Like,
they have
oh,
to.
I
Recreant's
always,
like just a banger.
yeah, and I always told my good friend Ryan. Me and him always talk about it. We love his vocals, Tom Barber's vocals, so much more than Alex. And nothing against Alex, just it's not my cup of tea, unfortunately. We want Tom so badly and that whole band to reproduce a couple of their albums with him doing the vocals. Just because, like, I don't know. I just love it. I mean, I fanboy over that dude. He's cool ass guy. I've watched a lot of people interview him.
Yeah.
And he's just your normal guy, man. Smokes pot, chills, and then just you hear his voice and you're like, wow, how does your voice produce that sound?
Yeah.
How do you do that? And diving into that's honestly, to me, intriguing as a metal fan or just a fan of music in general. How do you have somebody that has like a mid-range voice, almost a higher voice, and you just can go in that range of like harshes, man. Like, God,
Yeah.
man. So, what was what were your expectations for the song
For
um coming
one,
into it?
I had to distract myself from not from accidentally listening to it. So I was pumped because I went through their whole discography because like Desolation of Eden is like one of an amazing album and just like going through it and like hearing that transition. But as far as like his voice who you're talking about, what was interesting is like before recording it to distract myself, I watched a whole live show of Bullet for My Valentine at Hellfest. And it's interesting because they have two vocalists doing those ranges and stuff to create that sound. And that's the crazy part about that song is you'd almost think like if you saw the band live or like recording it, that it would be two people doing dual vocals
Yeah, you got
or
the
something.
highs, the mid, and then you got like
Yeah.
the low guttural,
Yeah.
toilet bowl sound. You would
So
think
the
that.
whole
That's actually a
gamut.
good point.
Yeah, because that's the interesting part. For one, if you ever see the Hellfest tour recording for Bullet for My Valentine, it's amazing. And I love a band that literally plays like hits from every album.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's just
they're
like that whole spectrum. But yeah, they have the two singers and the backup singer on to the left of the main singer. He does a lot of like the slightly higher and lower range of things, but like they do the dueling vocals. And that's the crazy part about this song is that it's one guy. Like and it's crisp and it just like the whole range.
and
Yeah.
it's clean. It's clean. It's visually interpreted within the live shows. If you were to look up their, I think it was, 2014. I don't remember. Anyways, Warp Tour. Uh, they have a couple of songs that are very welly recorded and mixed for the live sound. You know, and they do Hostage and Dead Rose, and
Mm.
it is so good. I think it's Caliber TV that does it, and it is just like holy shit. He was honestly my introduction into the deathcore scene. 100%, 100%. I oftentimes when we're at my house, I have friends over. We're on YouTube. We're constantly listening to music, constantly looking at live videos, live concerts. And something suggested that came up was Chelsea Grin, I think, Hostage. No, it was Dead Rose. It was Dead Rose because he starts with just a nasty high right in the beginning. I can't forgive the things you have done. And like, oh, it just set the tone. I'm like, yo, I've never heard anything like this before. So then I started listening to those two songs like religiously. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to listen a little bit more of this album, listen to more of it, Cross the Earth. And then uh, I'm sorry, I don't want to botch this. It's a Wolf song off of that album. the I'm sorry, See You Soon. Botched it. See, but anyways, and then that I like that song a lot too. And that honestly, God, he was really my introduction into deathcore, where a lot of people's was Mitch Lucker or we'll just say bands, Suicide Silence, As Blood Runs Black, Thy Art Is Murder. Mine had just happened to be I liked some of his stuff with Lorna Shore, seeing that he left, went to Chelsea Grin after Alex's departure, and it was awesome. And I'm so thankful for it because he's top tier for me, you know? He
Yeah,
really is.
and they're a great band. Of like just going through their discography over the past week was
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
so many good songs
I mean,
and
hell,
everything.
they've been around since 2008,
Yeah,
and we have brought it up every single time MySpace or social media, the internet as a whole. They they were a band in a very unpopular, uncommercially successful genre of deathcore that actually gained a lot of ground throughout that. And you know, they're a band that some people might not know. I'm sorry, I keep burping, but they're a band that some people may not know. They have not had steady members throughout their entire discography. They haven't. The only people left that are original, well, not even original, I think since 2000, after, let me see here, 2000 and, I think 2008 is when they started. And then I think 2014, when Eternal Nightmare came out, Pablo was the drummer who started doing backing vocals with Tom as well. And I literally think that's it as far as who they still have that would semi be known as original. And they've been producing, you know, really good albums the whole time. Songs that people are always bopping to, listening to, and it says a lot about, um, I guess, the drive of that group as a whole. Because how do you stick together? And I'm going to ask you this. How do you stick together through all those issues as a band when you have no original members to stick with? Like, what makes you continue the name of Chelsea Grin? I kind of like to
yeah,
hear, I guess, your side on why you would think that is, because I honestly don't even know. But I will
yeah.
gladly answer after I touch off of what you would say.
I think because they have such a range and can do so much of like, I think that at least in my opinion of like, because one of the first albums I heard from them was like Desolation of Eden. The fact that they could do like an amazing instrumental song like Elysium, but then have like Recreant and other like amazing songs, like they could kind of do it all and it wasn't defined necessarily by one person. I think Tom has started to define the band a bit more, which I think is a good solid direction to go in because he's been doing it now for like 5 years and it's
Yeah,
been, yeah,
he's been with them since 2018.
yeah, which is crazy to me that that's also 5 years. So I think part of it is having that variety and it wasn't like defined by just one person, made it so the band could survive without being driven by one person. Because there are those bands who, when once someone leaves, it changes the scene,
Yeah, the whole
or like one
dynamic.
person defines it and everything. Especially a singer. I mean, you think of bands
Hmm.
like, I mean, more mainstream bands like Breaking Benjamin or Panic at the Disco, where the singer is the only member who's still around from
Yeah,
the band. Like it's
when they
interesting
end,
to have the singer be a different person and still like be putting out, in my opinion, top tier stuff. Like 10 out of 10. That song was great.
yeah, and they just get better and better. They're getting better and
Yeah.
better. And you had a guy to add on with you with Tom, that dynamic that he, I guess, kind of adds. Aside from Tom, it's like, how did they keep that such interesting guitar work and drumming bass line within all the changing of members? Who was the guy? Was it the producer? Was it it's like things like that that really, I guess, kind of make me think, how do they do this? And Tom comes in, to finish Eternal Nightmare. And I said 2014, but it was actually 2018. I keep saying that, but it was 2018. Well, he was with Lorna Shore for 8 years before that.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Produced, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums. My favorite, personally, being Flush Coffin. But like, it's so funny because you look. It's like, what would have happened if Tom never left Lorna Shore? What would have happened?
I don't know. Like
I've
that
thought
really
about
is.
that a lot. What would they be if he never left? Would they eventually have caught ground? You know, this is a question we'll never be able to answer. And then we would have never been blessed with Will Ramos,
who is
it's like,
phenomenal. Just
and
absolutely.
it's just like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's ironic because you have them being Lorna, who's like on top of the world right now in the music scene as a whole. And, you know, with all the issues that they had and had to deal with throughout, they've been a band that's been working at it forever. Tom leaves to go join the project of Chelsea Grin after Alex's departure due to like personal issues with, I believe it was alcohol. Alcohol was a big issue with him, and I believe his vocals as well. And it was really affecting the band as a whole. And Tom came in and just blew it away with Eternal Nightmare.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And
It really did.
I think that's a huge point in his favor because earlier in the week you were talking to me, like we were talking about, do I like new Kill Switch or old Kill Switch? And it's interesting to think about that. It's like
Because old
Howard,
Kill Switch is really the new Kill Switch in a sense.
Yeah, like that.
Because Jesse started.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, like, I guess in my mind, Howard was such a defining vocalist.
I
that
agree
Kill
with
Switch
you.
will always be Howard. The Jesse sounds his best when he's trying to sound like Howard, and I guarantee you, he's trying to sound like Howard.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Yeah,
100%. They did that song.
yeah.
What the heck was it that they did together? Can you look that up quick?
Looking it up right now.
Man, it's right on the tip of my tongue.
Because it was Torchlight or something. Kill Switch. It was great that they did together, and now I'm trying to think because it was from their Atonement album, which also
The
is
Signal
4 years
Fire.
ago.
It was
The
the
Signal
Signal
Fire.
Fire.
That's what it was because Howard's new project is like Light the Torch or something.
Yes,
like,
and I seen them live.
Ooh, how was it?
Oh man, as a huge metalcore fanboy that I was for the first 6 years into the heavier side of metal, it was like seeing your idol play, because Killswitch was that band at the beginning for, I think, a lot of people. And honestly, the numbers prove it to be correct. You know what I mean? Like, you look at their albums with Howard, and it's like, just, he had
End of Heartache.
Yeah, and he has a baritone voice, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, right, it's not bass, and I believe it's not tenor, right in the middle. And his singing was so interesting. And then his screams were his highs. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
man. It was beautiful the way he was, and he actually had to leave because of his, I think, diabetes.
That and also alcohol abuse. People are saying there's a combination of like drinking. So that was the through line that I meant. Is like what was interesting is to have Alex depart Chelsea, and the sound has only gotten better. Whereas I'd say Killswitch kind of lives in the shadow of Howard.
I can honestly agree with that opinion or statement a lot, actually. Because the Signal Fire, when you saw, like, every Killswitch fan or metal fan, dude, when they saw that they brought Howard back, I mean, I'll walk you through it myself. I'm on YouTube, searching through YouTube. I see Killswitch Engage, Signal Fire with Howard Jones, and I'm like, what the? And my wife's like, what's wrong? I'm like, yo, the old singer at Killswitch is like, they did a song. But just to touch on what you said about like how Jesse sounds his best when he tries to sound like Howard, if you listen to that song and you're not like watching the video, you honestly don't know who's singing and screaming. I think, in my opinion, man, I don't know about you, but that's the one thing I noticed about that. I was like, God, man, I went to listen to it without the video, and I'm like, dude, I can't tell which one's Howard. I can't tell which one's Jesse. Like, it's a subtle thing you can kind of tell, but like, I don't know, you'd really have to catch it.
That's what I was saying was so funny about, because on that same album there's the song "I Can't Be the Only One," and whenever I heard that, I was like, I can't be the only one who thinks that Jesse's trying to sound like Howard right now.
I know.
I was like, that's what this song is like, and that's the main thing. Is to tie it in though, is I think whoever would ever have to follow in Tom Barber's shoes would have big shoes to fill at this point, because I think he has mastered his craft of
Yeah,
like
I
he has defined it.
I do agree with that, and he has a very specific voice that just no one can mimic. No one can mimic. No one can mimic the Dickie Allens. No one can mimic the Will Ramos. No one, guys like that. You can't. You just can't. It's just a very unique sound, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. We don't all. That's why this world is so beautiful, because everybody's so different. If we all like the same everything, I mean, it would be the most boring thing on this world to live in. Like, you like this, I like this. Oh wow, we have something in common, and that's all you can talk about. But it's like the fact that you can bring people in that don't like, I guess, this sound, but they hear something about it. They're like, "Whoa, I've never heard that before," and then they get involved. It's like, "Yo, man, this is different. I like this," and that's what is so cool about this world. We all have different opinions. We all have different views, thoughts, and I love that. That's what makes everybody so unique.
And here's the interesting thing, because I was thinking about it recently of like trying, because we talked briefly about like gatekeeping and everything. I think what's so interesting about like deathcore and like heavier stuff is it's not easy listening music. Like you have to give it your full attention, otherwise it can just sound like noise. And I think that's why instrumental metal songs are always impressive to me, because those are the things I'll show people. I'm like, dude, these people are amazing musicians. And what I think is especially what I'm excited for is Suffer in Hell, very cleanly produced. Like you could hear every layer, every line, every note that's played, you can listen for it. And I think that's why I like it as someone who's like has ADD. You can actually really feel the music and you have to be immersed in it to appreciate it. And you listen for those like subtleties. And I think that's really an incredible experience. And I think that's why I tend to appreciate it. Well, I enjoy what I'd like to say like is party metal. Of like party
Yeah,
metal, I would say it's like In Flames, Sabaton, Andrew WK might even be thrown in there. Of
dude.
like it's like easier listening metal in my
Party metal, I'm like, first thing I go to is Attila.
mind.
About that life.
Oh man, that
Oh my
song.
god, that dude, man.
And him and Ronnie going back and forth. You're like, you guys
Yeah. They
just
had some beef.
childish.
Call out one, call out two. That mic stand is gonna haunt Ronnie Radke for the rest of his life. Oh my gosh.
No, I think
People don't drop that. It's like, dude, come on. Like, probably wasn't like that.
yeah.
But like what I could say to add into our little, like, I guess we'll go back to Tom. Well, actually, I do want to touch on this, how we were talking about how they have instrumentals. I can't let this go unheard. The so it's funny, right? So just like you said, it's not easy listening for some people when you have the vocals in. Does the vocals make the genre? Right? So hear me out. So I'm just gonna think of the first one off the top of my head. King of Deception. Lorna Shore off the Immortal album. They released an instrumental only album as well. So if you listen to just the instrumental, even though I know what the genre is, I used a good buddy of mine at work, Thomas, who is a huge metal fan. I'm like, hey, I asked him the same exact question I just asked you. Does the vocals make the genre? And he's like, I don't know, I think it's a lot of the instrument, whatever, the layering. So I'm like, all right. So I want to kind of like use you as a rat. So I played the first like, um, I don't know, minute and a half to the point of the chorus. And he was just like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I said, okay. So now I'm going to play you the full song. And as soon as he heard the vocals, he's like, oh, that's deathcore. That's symphonic deathcore or whatever. I'm like, so can we debunk that in a sense some like genres can be uh picked off of just the vocals,
Yeah,
It's in the instrumental side, it is. It's so beautiful. Anyone can listen to it, anyone can enjoy that. But it's when you mix in that extra like pig squeals, whatever, everyone's like, whoa, what the hell is this shit? Like,
yeah. I guess it's that duality of like, because if you say, yeah, you're right. I was like, I think the vocals really do define it in a way. Because once you take that out, it can be just kind of like its own thing. And I think the duality is interesting to tie it back into of like suffer in hell, suffer in heaven, like that idea of heaven and hell interchanging. Is that's really what it is you have to be able to listen to and appreciate the darker aspects to really appreciate those like light aspects.
mm-hmm.
And like they have to go together. And I think a part of me, as someone who's been listening to metal now since like I was in high school, I think the first metal show I went to, I was like 15 or 16. The quality production has gotten insane these days. And to me, I love that crispness of being able to hear everything that's happening and stuff. But like you said, it's not easy listening of like you can listen to like Immortal, you can send the instrumental to like most anyone. But
Yeah, it's
like
it's definitely an acquired taste by guys like you, fans that
yeah.
watch the show. It's an acquired taste. But the thing that I've noticed the most about those people that also like that stuff, they're some of, for one, the nicest people, most creative, and the most open minded to almost anything in life, not just music, just open minded to anything. Like being zen with everything, you know? Just go with the flow kind of thing. Everybody's like super laid back and cool. But on the outside, as a non like fan, metalhead or whatever, you're like, oh, these guys are crazy. Like this guy's gonna kill me. He's got chains wrapped around his neck with spikes hanging out. His eyes are painted black. You go to talk to that guy, he's probably the coolest dude you've ever talked to, one of the nicest. Now, there of course are always bad eggs in every crowd, but I think a fair percentage, you're like, holy crap, you're surprised.
Yeah.
And that's just what's so nice about it. And that's what I love. And that's just something that I've always analyzed and noticed. The little things to me are something that I've always focused on. And that's a little thing that I notice. The fans of this stuff are just so creative and interesting as a whole.
Yeah. And I think that's the main thing is I think it does take time to build off of things. Of like a lot of people, you don't immediately get into deathcore. Usually you have to have like a tolerance of like not a tolerance, an appreciation for like heavier music and stuff. And I think that's the main thing of like we touched on, like you posted the clip of saying like sometimes it's the lighter stuff that leads you into this, that like you have to appreciate where you came from and stuff.
Hmm.
Because I think that's one of the things that to me, having a good solid community of like any community, there's going to be assholes and stuff, but I think most people have been super welcoming of like that's what surprised me when I went to my first metal show. I was wearing like a bright yellow shirt and like GE cargo shorts and I like stood out and everything, and people were like so nice about it. And I think that's the thing, you never know, you can't judge people by a book.
Honestly, that's the truest statement. And I've taken friends that to a lot of metal shows. I go to concerts every chance that I can. I'm seeing Alpha Wolf, Fit for a King, and I think North Lane.
Ooh,
Uh,
that's going to be a
next
good one.
next Saturday, I'm going to see them. Or no, I'm sorry, next Tuesday. Anyways, uh, so I'm going to that, and then right after that, I'm going to see Lorna Shore with Brand of Sacrifice and Boundaries, Shadow of Intent. And then after that, I'm gonna go see Chelsea Grin, and then I'm gonna see Spirit Box. So it's like back to back to back to back to back. I'm gonna try to catch the Bad Omens US tour that
Ooh.
they got going on with Era and Invent Anime. Bad Omens. Oh, crap. Other side is smeared. But um, like, just, what I'm basically stemming off of though is I've brought friends to these shows, right? And they're nervous. They're nervous to get in the pit. They're nervous about the fans, the interactions, and they're always like, dude, like they're so like nice and cool. Like if somebody falls down in the pit, they completely stop. And like I'm like, yeah, man, you take care of people here. Like that's the thing. We all come here because we were outsiders. A lot of us were outsiders in school or growing up listening to this stuff. We were all outsiders, but that's where we can all come together as one, as like a family. And it's like that. I wouldn't say it's like the missing piece to like your life that you kind of lost, but like you get to feel as one with a family that appreciates and gets emotional, cries. I cry at almost every show I go to. I when uh the Day to Remember plays, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. Cry every single time. I cried watching Bad Wolves. I cried during Lorna Shore playing uh the goodness gracious, why do I keep forgetting this, man? Either way, I cried during Lorna Shore, and like I cry all the time. I do. But you know what? People are there crying with me, hugging me all around me, having a good time. And it's just like the emotion, man. Like if people on the outside could just see the emotion that goes on at these shows, I think there would be such a different perspective. I really do. I really do, man.
Yeah, I think so. And also, side note, how hard are you going to cry when Will Ramos says a world without you wasn't meant for me? Like
Yes,
that,
I
like
cried.
just
I cried,
that line of like, yeah,
dude.
like even seeing it in the video and stuff like
I
that.
I bawled. Dude,
Oof.
I just saw Bad Omens. Well, I want to say 3 months ago, maybe more. Either way, whatever. I saw them live, and they played the Gray. And I was talking to my wife and my buddy Ryan. I'm like, yo, like, let's make bets. Like, what do you guys think I'm gonna, what song am I gonna cry to? And I forget I think it was Nowhere to Go, maybe. And I was like, nah, I don't even know what it'll be. And then the Gray comes out. I'm like, oh, like, it's just like, I don't know, man. I'm such a, like, I feel all the emotion of people around me and the involvement that goes into writing this stuff. And as somebody that literally, in a sense, tries to live his life like it's his last every single day of his life, I try to take every little thing, every little positive thing in my life and try to really make use of it and appreciate what I've been able to be gifted on this earth with. So I always try to really take it all in. I do. And just if people could see the emotion at these shows instead of thinking that it's aggressive, man, I think it would change. It would change a lot of people's perspectives of
Yeah,
this genre as a whole. Or maybe I'm
that's
just a
so
bitch. I
true.
don't know.
No, I think it's true. Of like there is like a lot of emotion to it because I think some of the saddest songs I know are metal songs and stuff like that's up there with like the emotion of like someone who I always come back to is like Tracy Chapman. Of like I think you reach this point where you see these through points of like these kind of like these sad moments, and I think a part of it I like it because I have to listen and focus. It's the same as like I've started to get more into like I think it's why so many people like anime and shows you have to like have subtitles on because for me it can be hard to
Forces
focus on
it pulls
things.
you in.
Yeah, like
Forces the
that.
pull
Yeah,
in.
like you have to be engaged. And I think, I mean, I was talking to a coworker of mine recently. He's in his 50s, and he was saying, as someone with ADHD, school was really hard for him, and it was hard to feel like you feel dumb a lot of times and you feel like you don't necessarily fit in, you don't necessarily have people who understand you, like it's hard to pay attention sometimes, so you just like you seem like you're dumb because like you haven't listened to whatever's happening in the lesson, and then you're just screwed once it comes around question time or something. And
Yeah, and it looks like it's laziness when in reality it's just like if we as people that have ADHD, as myself and ADD, if we're not hyper focused on it, we struggle so hard with it. I wish I could explain it for people to understand like how hard that is. to add in with your
Yeah.
coworker. It is extremely challenging, and you're not stupid. Your
Yeah.
brain is just chemically wired to think and act differently within things. And if something pulls your attention, though, when you have ADHD, there's a drive like nothing else that no one like that has like a normal like brain, I guess, has.
Yeah. And I think it's a similar thing of like having like bipolar and stuff, of like having those like manic moments. If you can channel the energy, like things can really change. And I think people don't always realize that, of like, it took me really until I was 30 to like be able to channel this kind of energy, to realize like, oh, I can record a podcast. I can record, like, do these things. And I think people don't always realize that. Of sometimes it's easy to have these scattered ideas, because the way I describe it to someone who doesn't have ADD, it's like it's like listening to that song just now, Fathomless Maw, and like listening to it, and if you're not really paying attention to it, if someone asked what was happening at a minute and 30 seconds, you wouldn't know. Like, you couldn't pick those things out because there's so much going on. And I think a part of it, like, you need that like focus and drive. And I think people oftentimes miss it, because like most of us who are into this kind of stuff just didn't do very well in school. Like, I literally could not finish college. I would do one semester at a time. And then eventually I just got tired of it and literally did dominoes for years, just listening to music in my car and delivering pizzas. And I think the main point is like that these things do tie people together, and you have to be listen to it and have to be engaged. And it's been interesting to like watch the genre kind of evolve and like see how things change, because the part that's really impressive to me is to realize, like, graduating from high school in 2008, tons of bands got softer in like the early 2010s and stuff, like a lot of them. And so it's interesting to see this thing of like coming back to like really heavy stuff that's crisp and really well produced, because I think oftentimes like people were kind of hard on bands that were too overproduced or whatever, but now I think you can put out a really decent production while still keeping that heavy sound of like just everything going on with it. So overall, I mean, just going through Chelsea Grin's discography, it's just such variety. But I think Tom really does define the sound in many ways these days. Oh, I think I lost you. Can you hear me? Your sound went out.
There we go.
You're back.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah. So yeah, about Tom, like you said, um, to add into it, like look at just what he's done with Darko, a
Yeah.
band that started in 2020 with Josh Miller from ex Amir, now drummer of Spite as well, who's also a very very good band. We touched on their album last week. They have been so consistent with getting new stuff out. They have like all the time. YouTube albums, EPs. It's consistent and it's so unique. Uh, like Rings of Saturn has a very dynamic, spacey, weird sound, but it's got that like grindcore vocals slash maybe drums at sometimes, but it's like it almost feels like you're in space every time you listen to it, right?
Yeah. Like that transcendental, but also fiery, of
Yeah,
like the ends of the spectrum.
yeah. And then we look at Darko. What the hell do you even say that they are?
Yeah.
You can tell that their ties come from, uh, you know, blackened a blackened sound, a death metal sound mixed with deathcore. But then we look at the guitars and it's like nothing but bottom string or top string. Sorry, gent. I only said bottom string because the guitarist, who's the drummer as well, he plays it like left-handed, right-handed, but it's like a left-handed guitar. So the top strings that are normally on the top, they're on the bottom, and he's always chugging on that open, like those open chords that we know and love that chug, you
Yeah.
know. And it's just the sound is so unique. But just looking at what he's done with Darko. I mean, here I got a list right here. So he did off of all these, I think there's four EPs, albums, whatever, however you want to say it. Courtney LaPlante from Spirit Box. Okay, she was in I Wrestled a Bear once. A very progressive tech death kind of sound with I Wrestled a Bear once when she was in there. Since now have become Spirit Box, the unique metalcore sound that we know and love. That's
So good.
it's so fucking technical if you really look at how it's written. Ryo from Crystal Lake, Taylor Barber from Left to Suffer, Ben Durr from Shadow of Intent, Rory Rodriguez from Dayseeker, the guys that bring you Sleep Talk, Neon Grave, Crying While I'm Dancing, it's Crying While I'm Dancing, all that stuff. They, like, you listen to that song after you hear, like, we'll just say Looking Glass, and it's Rory's very unique, beautiful singing voice with that very weird, like, sound. It's so hard to pick, like, what genre that would be in. I don't know. I really can. If anyone has an idea what you'd call it, please let me know, let John know, because I would love to look more into what the hell that is, because it's unique, it's impressive, it's different. But it's not only that, it's fresh and it's constantly available. Like, they dropped their album, Ani, and then right at the beginning of 2023, no, December 20th of 2022, right before the new year, come out with Death Mask 2 EP with four or five songs. And it's just like, it's nonstop. And then you look at their YouTube, constantly recording one take live studio versions of their songs. And like we were just talking about it earlier, the studio version 5, man, like that was, and his voice just, it works so well with Chelsea Grin, and it works so well with this new, super interesting, super fresh sound that we get with Darko. And now I'm going to 100% agree with you. Tom has to be given all the credit for the stick together when he joined after Alex's departure. I don't think we can deny that anymore. I don't. And I think that this is a guy in a band, Chelsea Grin, as a whole, that is honestly overlooked a lot. I do think that. I don't know what your take on that is, but that's where I stand. I've always thought that they've been underlooked since that Eternal Nightmare album came out. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I only liked Alex," but like, I don't know, man. Just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, I would agree. Of like his range is just incredible. Of like the things he can do, and the fact that like Darko has been like, that's only 3 years, and has done so much of like just an incredible thing to be able to accomplish all that.
With two guys, with two people, guys, you're listening. 2 people make that sound. It's insane. If you know anything about producing, polishing music, that is just insane. And especially for somebody who plays drums that also does the guitar, and then you add in all the effects in the back, and then the vocals, and then the crazy timing that's involved on the drums. It's just, it's something spectacular. Chelsea Grin, even though they have Tom, they have a different sound though than Darko. It's like, how?
And I think that's the important part, is that variety of like, variety is the spice of life. And I 100% agree with your assessment. I think that Tom is to Chelsea Grin what Howard was to Killswitch, of like defining, taking it in a great direction and everything. And I think hopefully his stay with the band will be as long as Howard's stay was with Killswitch, if not longer. And I think that's, I mean, for one, though you've sent me a few and I've run into them on YouTube. Those one take songs are incredible. To just like,
Insects,
yeah,
man.
the things they
Looking
can
Glass.
do, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And to
And
be
he
able to
does
pull it off like that in like 8 minutes, just one take.
and he does this thing. Chris Franzak from Attila does it. That real high scream, but like almost rapping. You know what I mean? Like it's literally back, 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 just like that with that vocals. And it's just like, you've never heard it before, and it just flows so well. Gotta roll into a straight, like super fast, super high, like almost skip of words. So it has been awesome seeing what Tom has done with Lorna as well as Chelsea. We're getting blessed with two albums, Suffer in Hell, Suffer in Heaven. I think they each have their own dynamic sound from the two singles that we heard off of Suffer in Heaven, and then the full album on Suffer in Hell. I think it's a little different somehow. Even though it's
Yeah.
the same band, it's just like it's a different feel. It's almost like Suffer in Hell is heavy. It is heavy. But it's like the two off of Suffer in Heaven. You would think Suffer in Heaven would maybe be a little softer, in your head, just because of the heaven. But like, dude, that fathomless law. Oh my god.
I was
That
like,
wow. That took the cake, man.
yeah.
So what would your expectations be for the full
I
length album?
I hope they build off of it because I mean, like you said, of like this being the second single I've heard from it, it's only gotten better. So I think the songs they've chosen as singles have been excellent. I think, and so I'm excited to hear where it goes because in the way I guess I did almost I think kind of expect it to be maybe like a lighter take on it because the whole point I guess a part of it like the what throws you off is like the album artwork of Suffer in Hell is like this weird creepy demon and then like Suffer in Heaven is like lady looking out in the distance
Yeah,
like
like a sunset or a sunrise, like
which
you're
I want to get a poster. Hopefully, they do a poster of something of both the album covers melded as the same artwork, like something
yeah.
like
Oh,
that.
you know what? There might be something in the middle that we're missing that it somehow intertwines.
Because I was wondering, because you see the flames there and everything, and you're like, is this part of the same panoramic view?
Ooh,
Like,
that's
that's what I've been wondering about. Namely, because I mean, I promised you I wasn't going to listen to it, so I did listen to like a few seconds on
well,
accident.
you had to for
I
the
had
editing
to
purpose,
because
to
yeah,
figure out if we could hear it really well, which was awesome.
yeah. Which
And
hopefully you guys will enjoy the reaction because for our
yes,
second episode we didn't show the reaction, but we plan on it, and hopefully once we get a Patreon stuff set up, we're going to do more reactions
yeah,
because
I'm
that
ex-
was just astoundingly good. I keep accidentally almost wanting to click it and add it to the stream again just to like keep
I
there as a
know,
light
I do
background.
too. It's like so good. Like
So
I thought that my face was gonna be stuck in a stank face for the remainder of the night. Like as much, I was like, oh, what the is this, dude? Like, I just, I do want to touch on the change of his vocals, man. Dude, just Eternal Nightmare and like the Lorna Shore stuff to these, the Suffer in Heaven and then the Suffer in Hell. It's like it's still that same Tom sound, but it's a different approach to his range. His range is not his like not maybe palette. His palette's totally different now.
yeah,
We
and
still have that same sound, but he's adding in these new things we haven't heard, which is I think just phenomenal for the group and him as an artist as a whole.
yeah, I think I'm very excited to hear it goes because I think you send a whole other list of like songs to touch on, and Vor by Sleep Token. I guess a part of me wondered if maybe this album was going to be kind of like have some lighter elements like that song does, but this was just like heavy, fast, just an excellent like 3.5
Heaviest
minutes.
heaviest song like ever by them.
Yeah,
And that was yeah, I'm excited for that album. Dude, there are so many good albums coming out this year. We got Sleep Tokens, we got Distance. It was just released Heritage just a week ago, I think. I do not know if you guys have listened to anything from Heritage, or not Heritage, Distant. Album Heritage, every song on that brings a new element to this sound. It's really, really cool. It's a fresh deathcore sound. And they have a song that they did with Will Ramos. Very good, but like, oh man, I can't. Orphan of Blight. Oh, gosh, that's a great one. In Flames, you told me about that. I checked it out when I got some time. Big fan of it. That death metal sound, very good. Foregone was great.
Yeah,
Um,
and In Flames is underrated. Of like I've heard people occasionally give them shit and everything. No, they're great.
and you know what? That album art was amazing. That
Yeah,
album art was really cool.
I was about to say Heritage, the album art is fantastic as
Yes.
well. Like I like that kind of like techno future kind of thing that's going
Yep.
on.
It is really have you checked any of that out? I would
I
say
checked
you
out a little bit in passing and everything
that
because
is
I heard
very
they had the one song with Suicide Silence and everything. I'm
yes,
pretty sure.
Eddie.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a
So
very,
yeah,
very good album.
that popped up.
Excellently, like we have articulated so aggressively
Yeah.
polishing these albums
Yeah.
and making them sound so like crystal clear and perfect has really done something great
I
for the
I
scene as a whole.
I will say that for one, the album artwork's excellent on Foregone. But if you check out, if you can only listen to one song off of Foregone, I like A Dialogue in B flat minor is a great song where the guy's talking about like dealing with depression of like there's a ghost in my head and sometimes he gets like what he wants. The range of that song. For one, I love a song that like changes the pacing and like changes the flow so impressively. That album was great.
I'm glad you sent that to me because I had some time going to the gym and
Yeah.
working out on Hitch that I was able to check out that listen to every single one throughout the workout. And then
Oh,
we
and it's a
got
good workout song. Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. The first song on that album is Foregone, right? The title track starts with the
The
title
beginning
track.
of all things that will end is the.
And I I'm sorry I botched that
Oh no.
name, but that song was so beautiful. Just like the
Yeah.
acoustics, like I love that one. I love
Yeah.
how that set the tone. It was calming. It was easily listenable, even though clearly I don't need to listen to something that's easy on the ears. I like the heavy stuff. I like the brutal stuff.
I like
Cattle
the whole spectrum.
decapitation. I don't know if
Oh,
you checked that
that
one out.
was heavy, and they have a visualizer on YouTube that's just crazy. Of like,
Yes,
yeah,
my good buddy Devin Hibben
yeah,
shared that, and I was like, dude, I'm not the biggest fan of them. It's just not my taste. But that's okay because I'm willing to step out of the comfort zone to check it out. I like that track. The one that's kind of surprised me was Acacia Strain's two singles that they released off of the album Step Into the Light. That releases on my birthday, May 12th.
ooh,
So I get a little birthday present this year for that one. That one is straight stink face. Just
that's
wanting to
crazy.
run. Hardcore, beat down. Oh, I just love that.
Yeah, no, that was like that. That's what it was. That Fresh Bones, excellent. It's
Yes,
like
it
also
really
it's
was.
crazy that your birthday is May 12th because mine is May 8th, so I
Ah,
get to get my birthday 4 days before you.
Dad's is in May. My Mimi's is in May. Yours is in May. Mine. Oh, it's meant to be, man. Best people are born in May. I'd say right there. Paramore. This is why
Yeah,
we could go on forever about their discography.
yeah,
They're come up with Riot into this right now. This real jazzy, bluesy, real relaxed. It's
yeah.
different. It's
It
different.
is. And that's also speaking of Paramore, that whole record label, fueled by ramen, put out so many amazing hits over the past years and stuff.
Oh, are they signed with them?
Yeah, Fueled by Ramen. I'm pretty sure they were one of the ones. So that was like a day to remember.
Wow.
So many other bands
Yeah.
were Fueled by Ramen, and that was like just crazy how many amazing bands came by Fueled by Ramen. Like I would say that it almost defines some of our like young adult years.
It's actually really funny you say that because I remember waiting on the damn release for Everything You Need. Or You're Welcome. Gosh, man, I keep messing that up. You're Welcome's album by A Day to Remember. We got told it was coming out, I think, towards the end of 2019, and then we had to wait, and we had to wait, and we had to wait through all of 2020, through the bullshit with COVID, through all that stress, depression, whatever you want to call it. And we were told that we were waiting on album art. Well, you had those people that were talking about A Day to Remember's like new signing with this record label, Fueled by Ramen, and everyone's like, "Man, I don't like the signing, this and that. It's gonna, it's not gonna be a good album, da 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 da, whatever." And honestly, not a lot of people were a big fan of that album, and some blamed Fueled by Ramen, but then they dropped Miracle, and it's like, okay, see, this is that sound that we know and love, that like post-hardcore metalcore mixture that we just love from A Day to Remember, that we almost only got on a couple songs on that album, which would have been Resentment
Yeah.
and Last Chance to Dance, Bad Friend. That was like all we got.
Yeah.
Like I expected a lot coming from that. I expected some heavy hitters. It wasn't. They changed their sound and I liked it. I liked the album, but a lot of people didn't, and they blamed Fueled by Ramen. I did not know that, though, that
Nope.
Paramore was with them.
Yeah. So here's the crazy thing. Do you want to hear active artists that are still with Fueled by Ramen? Day to Remember, All Time Low, Fall Out Boy, 21 Pilots. But the alumni of Fueled by Ramen is Jimmy Eat World, Less Than Jake, Paramore, so many amazing bands. Young the Giant, like just a lot of stuff. Dashboard Confessional, Cute is What We Aim For. Like,
Wow. I didn't know that. See, this is a record label I knew nothing about until I heard that they signed with them for this album.
And when you look at their alumni thing, because they used to promote these things and stuff of like To Write Love on Their Arms, like all this stuff of like, I was surprised because for some reason I thought Red Jumpsuit Apparatus was on there as well. But I think they were with a similar band and everything. But I just wanted to shout out Fueled by Ramen. Some people fucking hate some of the stuff they put out, but it is like they have a sound. Like they can produce
the names, the bands in that. I mean, hell, the ones you just listed, like they're big names.
Yeah.
Those aren't just like bands that no one's ever heard of. Like everyone's heard of those bands in this scene.
And that's the crazy thing. It's like they do so many things. Also, inactive artists from them. I didn't realize there's a whole section on that. Panic at the Disco. Like, they've done so many things.
I love Panic. Well, I guess I should say I love Brendan Urie. He's no more.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Brendan Urie announces his departure from Panic at the Disco. And it's like just a picture of Brendan Urie walking out a door. It's like, it's kind of funny, I think, because he really did make up that band.
Yeah.
Like, can anyone name a drummer, a guitarist, a bassist that was in that with them?
Yeah, I think
I can't. I really can't. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I'm not even gonna try to look it up, try to guess. I don't know. Brendan Urie to me made that band. His voice, so beautiful. I love that man's voice. It's a shame, that they're done because I've liked everything that they've come out with.
It's a good range. I think an interesting point when you said, can you name other band members? To me, it's always very impressive when you can name almost all the band members because of how they contribute. And once again, folks, we have to do it to you. One of the best bands where you know their drummer.
Dude, we literally just need to talk for 2 hours about them one day. I have my good friend Matt Whitling and my brother. I would love to bring on this show for this episode where we just sit here and we either argue we either fucking agree, we cry together, whatever it is. We need to all just get all of us and just talk about them, everything, because this is going to be a forever byproduct of this show. Avenged
It's true.
Sevenfold. Anyone that hates them, fuck ya, because
Yep.
I love them, dude.
The banner hat, I had to do it.
Say
It's
hello to
there.
the Rev again, guys.
Oh,
He's always
man.
there.
With I think this year is going to be a great year for music so far. I am
I mean,
feeling
yeah,
very, very optimistic about just the amount of stuff that's going to come out.
Currents. I don't know if anyone's
Oof.
checked out their 2 songs that are coming off of that new album. That is something that I'm going to expect to be very high on the list for albums of the year. I think North Lane just dropped their, or not North Lane, I'm sorry. It would have been Hollow Front. Hollow Front dropped their album last year that had a really good one. But like, there's a lot of bands in this scene that are coming, well, not in this scene, but like they're coming out with an album this year. I think this is going to be a very good year for music, very good for metal. And I mean, look at the statistics, man. Metal is the fastest growing genre right now, and I'm hoping we can ride that all the way to the top. And us
Yeah,
people that have been sitting here in the shadows for the longest time are going to be finally like, yeah, told you so.
the shadow people.
Yeah, that's what we are, man. To a lot of
Yeah,
these people, mainstream hip hop radio and everything, the or country, whatever it is, like metal's that next one to take the cake. Like you got bands like Sleep Token, Bad
mm,
Omens, Rise, like the whole different dynamic and change and flow of how they do the sound. People are loving it. And
yeah.
it's just a forever growing genre that I can't wait to see on the top here within the next couple of years. I really can't. And I
So
do firmly believe that.
yeah, I mean, you have Bring Me the Horizon people playing with people like Machine Gun Kelly and everything, and like Travis Barker. Like people like have mixed feelings about that, but I think it's still exciting. Like I
Yeah.
like to see that crossover.
I'm excited for them to finally come out with their next EP or album that we've been being told has been worked on since 2020 with Posthuman.
Yeah,
Man, I am so excited for that. I'm pretty sure they dropped a teaser the other night and put it on the Instagram accounts, King Listener and my own. I think we're getting something from Bring Me the Horizon very, very, very soon. They've been on tour for a very long time over
because
the
I feel
last
like
2 years.
Strangers has been playing around for a while. That was a teaser of something like.
Yeah,
'Cause
like I
how?
think we're.
Yeah, Strangers has been out for like a year now,
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah,
somewhere
no, you're
around
right,
there.
and it's like one of their top streamed songs. Some of some people's favorites. Some people's introduction
Yeah.
into Bring Me the Horizon, just like Popular Monster was for Falling in Reverse.
And I think that's important of like those moments that like bring people in. I think there's nothing wrong with that and stuff of like I think being able to have that variety, as long as they still play their old stuff, I think like the bigger the better. Like Rising Tide carries all ships.
And
Uh,
they do play their old stuff, and it
oh, they
is
do.
great. I have the biggest man crush on all these sites. Like I do. I have a huge man crush on that man. That is a
Yeah,
handsome looking dude. Like I love Ollie Sykes. I mean, hell,
yeah,
he's the top of my picture frames up there, man. That guy
yeah.
means a lot to me. Sleepwalking off of Sempiternal,
Mm.
like man, should I sink or swim or simply disappear? Just that line right there. I loved everything about him, and he went through so much, and I can't wait till the day that we finally are like, all right, we're gonna talk about these old bands that really set the tone for what we're listening to now, reacting to now, um, and we'll get there. And I really do think we ought to just do an episode on Avenged Sevenfold.
We do the Avenged
Avenged
Sevenfold
Sevenfold, the
episode.
Kill Switch Engage, the Bricklayers for this genre that we know and love, and then go into as Blood Runs Black, Black Dahlia Murder, all those guys,
Black
Suicide
Dahlia Murder is
Silence.
great. I saw them live as a kid, as a teenager. Excellent.
It was Trevor, right?
Yeah,
Trevor, he
I'm pretty sure.
Strnad. I think we lost him to suicide this year, unfortunately. Actually, Tom Chelsea Grin did a song with them on Suffer in Hell. Yeah, Suffer in Hell. It was really good, and it's just like it's a shame that was a big hit in the metal community for a lot
Yeah.
of people. A lot of people took that one personally.
Because
'Cause
those
that
moments are so hard. Of like, I
I,
remember Hawthorne Heights back to high school. That was like a big one. That was like
and then losing
definitely takes the wind out of your sails.
the one that affected me the most as of recently was when we lost Chester Bennington.
Mm.
From
And then,
Lincoln Park.
yeah,
That
that's
one
also
hurt.
crazy. That's been like 6 years now or
Yep.
something.
And a year before it was Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
You know, like it was so that one hit me hard, man, because they were always on my bucket list of must sees.
Yeah.
A new metal band that had such a unique sound, and Chester's voice was just so beautiful and different,
Yeah.
and
His
that one affected me a lot actually. So it
that
sucks when we lose guys like that.
that did. And then an interesting album that came from that was Mike Shinoda's album of like processing all that grief and everything. Did you listen to that one at all? Some of like the songs from that will break your heart.
No, I
It's
haven't,
like,
but I did see that they just released Lost. I
yeah.
think is the name. I have not gotten a chance to listen to it. I want to listen to it when I'm like
So
down and
if
like
if you really want to listen to something that'll really like you have to be it's going to be a sad moment, but Post Traumatic, the album by Mike Shinoda, came out in 2018, and the way he describes it of like getting the phone call and like the everything, just trying to figure out what to do with life after that was like it gets you in the feelings and stuff. And then you'll need a pick me up thing. You'll need to have that like the party metal of Attila is supposed to be dropping a single at midnight tonight.
I
A part of me
know.
I was like, Cam's gonna have to stay up and give me a report in the morning.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna listen to that. I am 100% listening to that. I'm excited because I love their single canceled, dude. And Pizza, dude, Pizza was so funny. But like, yeah, man. On a real note, it does suck when we lose these guys to suicide, uh, or overdoses, accidental overdoses, whatever it may be. It just shows how much these artists and people, they're just like you and I. Even though they have the fame, even though they have the success, they have the money, they still got demons they're battling every day. And the happiest people, check on your happy friends, guys, because they're usually the ones that are the first to do it. It's a sad,
Yeah,
sad truth.
I think that's not that we should end the episode on like a sad note like that, but I was
Well,
like,
it's
that,
honestly, it's the truth, man.
yeah,
You got to look out for your happy friends because they're the ones that are always dealing with the most. And they put on that
yeah,
face, and it's just like Chester Bennington. Everybody thought he was fine. Everybody thought he was okay, but it was in front of us the whole time within his music.
yeah. It
Honestly,
was.
that last album, it was right in front of us. One Last Night, Light, I believe was about Chris Cornell.
Ooh,
To me, I process that as it's kind of about him and hinting at what he unfortunately did. So
yeah. I think
never never feel like your feelings are discredited, guys. Honestly, your lowest point and my lowest point are the same. So don't ever say that. Well, you don't know what it's like because that's subjective. Your lowest point and my lowest point probably feel the same exact way.
yeah.
So just always be there for people and be positive and be nice and be always offering a helping hand. I think that's a. I mean, yeah, we can end it just like on that, man.
No,
So
yeah. It's like you have to be there for people and everything
you
because it
do.
is like super important. And I think a part of it, the note I'd leave people on is like, for one, and I've touched on it before, of like, if you struggle with depression and like you've struggled with all those things in the past, like I have, and stuff, like try everything you can. Like do everything of like, I don't go by the name that I went by as a kid. Like I stopped, I grew up going by Freeman, my middle name. I stopped going by it when I turned 18. Like I've moved halfway across the country. I've tried medication, done weird supplements out there occasionally, like tried everything. Like try everything you can and realize that nothing is permanent. Like you can change anything you want. I've had friends who literally just moved halfway across the country or completely across the country just to deliver Domino's in Los Angeles. Like you can change your life of like there are tons of things you can do. It may not seem like you can at the time, but
It always gets better.
yeah, it will always get better.
It always gets better. When you're at your lowest, there's no other place to go other than up.
Yeah, and I
And
think
I wish we could stress that. I could not stress that enough. As somebody who's lost friends to it as well, artists, people that I know, it sucks, it hurts, and the wound that you leave for the people that loved you and cared for you is just a really hard one for your friends, myself, you, anybody to deal with. So, if you ever got anything that's on your mind that's really bugging you, reach out to anybody, reach out to a friend, call the hotline, anything. Find an escape, but not in a bad way. Music, anything
yeah,
that helps. Speak up because you should be heard and your feelings should be validated. You have the right to feel the way you do, but there's always a way out. And that is exactly where I guess I will exit us out into, if you guys
yeah,
haven't yet, like and subscribe to the YouTube King Listener Reviews. Um, we have our Patreon up. We're open on all podcasts, Spotify, RSS, correct?
yeah. We do.
RSS.
Yeah. So we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and then our RSS feed. You can plug it into any
Yes.
podcast app, and it'll get you going there. And of course, YouTube is where you can actually watch reactions now because we're going to put the full thing on here. And let us know what you thought. Also, if you had issues with our top 5 albums of 2022, we stand by those choices because people are like, "Why'd you put Electric Callboy on there?" I was like,
Oh my gosh, how
"Yes,
could you not?
yeah."
Yeah, honestly,
Let
the
us
more,
let us
the
know
more,
what yours would have been too.
yeah, the more you guys give, the more we can talk on.
Yeah,
And with our Patreon getting started up, we'll be able to have a couple of you guys on to talk with us. Specific details will be disclosed here shortly on how we'll run that. But you're gonna get a lot of
yeah,
bang for your buck with this. So we're gonna have some big names on here shortly. And we'll just keep moving forward. But like and subscribe to everything. Our links are in our bios on our social medias, as well as King
yeah.
Listener Reviews. Feel free, give a like, give a follow, leave a comment, and we'll touch on what you guys want to hear.
We're
So
planning some big episodes. As soon as we're done recording, we have
yeah,
so many ideas.
we'll talk for 2 hours after this, guys. So other than that, guys, have a good day, have a good night,
See ya.
and don't forget what I said. If you're ever down, there's always somebody to talk to. Even if you got to
Yeah,
reach out to us, anybody,
yeah.
somebody's gonna be there for you, and life always gets better. So
Definitely
that's where
reach
we'll end
out to
it,
us.
guys. Have a good night.